Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your MC for today, Dan Moyane.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third edition of the Directors event, which is brought to you by the Sunday Times Top 100 Companies in association with MMI Holdings. The word uncertainty is overused today. And everybody, when they speak about the situation around us, we talk about uncertainty. But there's only one thing certain, and that is uncertainty is here with us going forward.
And one hopes that forums such as these, and this is the third year running, that we continue to look at renegotiating this country's future. But I think, whether we like it or not, we are in a renegotiation phase. It's almost two decades since we started on this experiment, which was the New South Africa. And in truth, we're just renegotiating whether we accept that or not.
As the gathering here today shows, we have learned through many difficulties and crises to do what we can, to rise above the bad news and to persevere, to work together and bring out the best and keep out the worst from prevailing.
There was an acknowledgement that current models of entrepreneurship don't work. We need to create a more, and I know this is a terrible cliche, but a more enabling environment for start-up business. I have every confidence that that will emerge during the discussions today.
I continue to be emboldened by the preamble of our Constitution when it declares that success in life should not depend on people's choices, effort and talents, not their circumstances at birth. Not only is this a just society, but one that thrives, because it draws upon the resources, skills, talents, and assets of all South Africans. Our other strengths relate to our extensive infrastructure, the ports, telecoms, and large sophisticated business sector. We are the financial and economic center of Africa. We have sound macroeconomic fundamentals, a highly sophisticated payment system, excellent academic and research institution. The problem is that all of these are not working together. We probably need to be stronger in creating an ecosystem for inclusive growth.
Really talking about the threats that we face. How formidable an opponent are we up against here?
The reality, though, is that we've got to address the basic challenge. I mean, growing the economy, dealing with inequality and unemployment. Because I think when economic conditions are tough, I mean, populism thrives. So I think collectively as a country, we probably need a new dialogue about what should be the economic future of South Africa.
For the first session on protecting South Africa's economy are Mohale Ralibitso, who's the founder and CEO of Itatayise Investments, Mpho Sidibe, Managing Director of MOPSI Strategic Advisors, Dr. Iraj Abedian, Chairman and Chief Executive of the Pan-African Investment and Research, and Lungisa Fuzile, who was just recently the DG of National Treasury, and finally, Sibusiso Mabuza, the Chief Executive Officer of Aluwani Capital Partners, whom I believe are the third largest black-owned asset management company in South Africa.
What it is that we seek to protect, we talk about protecting the South African economy. What exactly is it that needs its protection?
Our ability as a nation to achieve a whole range of social and economic objectives depends on our economy thriving, on our economy performing.
From where I sit as a student of economics is that we cannot overemphasize the importance of engaging with the real issues, which is economics, which is the skills, which is literacy. Literacy not at ABC, literacy at what is happening around us. What are the engines of job creation?
It's one thing to say, you know, let's get more people to start businesses, but who are they supplying goods and services to? And when you take a small business and you give them a piece of what you're already spending, so we're not even talking about increasing spend, that creates some sort of economic activity, and that person can then go and absorb the unemployed person and train them in what they need to be able to do to deliver on the work.
And I believe it was George Santayana who said, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. We've made the same mistakes for the past 20 some odd years. I'm 45 years old now. 24 of those, or 23, I've spent working in this country. Some of the issues we've been talking about haven't changed. It's the same issues. We shouldn't have needed BBB legislation to make normal of South Africa. How do we protect and grow the economy? By giving legitimacy to the state and to business.
Business and private and public sector have to work together. The two cannot be mutually exclusive, otherwise I don't think we'll actually get very far.
Our next panel discussion is around geopolitical uncertainty.
Let's look at the global picture first, Karima. To what extent should we really care about what's happening, and how does it impact us?
Well, I think we can't deny our place in the world. We live in a global community. There's no stopping globalization. And I think that at the heart of the crisis of globalization is increased inequality. And all the subsequent risks, I think, emanates from there.
Trade is an exchange of value. We trade the assets that we have for something that we don't have with other people in the other countries in the world. And therefore, it is very important for us to understand what value we have and what do we need to enhance our own lives.
I think what we often forget today is that money is really fungible and mobile. It goes to places where the returns are highest, adjusted for risk. Secondly, businesses in particular hate risk. They can't take uncertainty. They try to get surety and so forth. And if they do take risk, they try to hedge bets and all sorts of things, you know.
The state has basically three main features. It's the monopoly to use violence, the monopoly to legislation to collect taxes. And the legitimacy of those three issues are a responsibility of the state. So government will come and go, but the state institution would persist forever. So selling the state institution for us is Brand South Africa, because we sell the reputation of the country, not the reputation of the government, but the reputation of the country. What are we capable of doing as a country? What is that we can do pulling our resources together?
The final panel discussion is about youth education and employment.
We're sitting with a national crisis at the moment, and it's certainly one that was underlined by last week's quarterly labor force survey data that was released for the first quarter. Of the 22.4 million in South Africa's labor force, 6.2 million are unemployed.
And this is not just a South African phenomenon, it's a global phenomenon where a lot of young people are not finding employment, even though some of them may even have skills for that matter.
Young black South Africans who've systematically been excluded in institutions of higher learning and TVET colleges due to not only the failures of the government itself, but also as a private sector not coming into the part and say, what role can we contribute to ensure that those who find themselves without education, employment, and training get the adequate support that they need to ensure that they can contribute to the sector.
It's quite important to emphasize that the quality of teaching resides with a teacher or a lecturer, without of which you have lost almost 90% of what you could achieve.
That the average cost for a young person looking for work is 938 Rand per month. 2/3 of that spent on transport, 1/3 of that spent on data costs, printing my CV, trying to apply online. The inefficiency of that work seeking is significant. And these are households with, in many respects, from a Harambee population, grant-dependent households spending 938 Rand per month looking for work.
What I see in my role as a CEO of an executive search firm, which is looking to employ or recruit leaders, their biggest issue is what do we need to be looking out to for our survival? And they need to be very aware of disruption and artificial intelligence, and how that impacts all the way down the line to employment of youth is the fact that we know that artificial intelligence is going to be essentially cutting at the knees mass employment, if that is even a consideration. I don't even know that that's even on the table amongst corporate South Africa.
This is not the first time in human history that we have seen technology come in and take out a huge part of the workforce. We saw the rise of the services industry that came through to pick up everything that primary sector industries lost as technology came in there. So all that's happening is this, we're going through this pattern all over again. The question is, what is the next big surge of sectors that will develop, that will employ people?
Once again, thank you. We are very grateful for your attendance. Have a lovely weekend. Be safe, stay warm.